Overland Park CrossFit, welcome to another Fitness Friday video. This week we are talking handstand walks. To start you off for the week, I'm gonna throw you a little hashtag ad, and that is going to be that personal training sessions of 30 minutes would be a fantastic idea for you to develop that handstand walking skill, especially if you have the fear of being upside down, being inverted. I did too. I have some perfect little knowledge nibs that you can use that I will give to you in order to develop that handstand walk and get you feeling comfortable upside down and on your hands. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a pre-personal training appetizer, if you will, for what you're going to kind of see. And I'm going to give you my three favorite tips and cues for that handstand walk. So getting started, the first one that I really like to employ is the beginning to the handstand walk. Generally speaking, a lot of us when we start, we want to get way out in front and really reach for that handstand walk, get us going forward as soon as possible. And so what happens is we reach too much, and it's hard for us to get that center of mass over our hands, get comfortable in a balanced position to where it's sustainable for us to walk out for any distance. We might get a couple hands down, but we're really not getting anywhere consistently. So my first tip for you is when we start, we want to spot a starting position on the ground, and then we're going to shoot for that with our hands. That spot shouldn't be any more than about 4 feet in front of us. So if you are actually probably no more than 2 or 3 feet. If you're in one of these rectangle mats that we have here, 4 feet is that short distance that we have, so that is gonna be way too far. What I want you to think about is find halfway or about 3/4 on that mat, and that's gonna be our starting position. If you're going long ways, it's about half that mat. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look for that start position, keep my hands, come down, and I can get my center of mass over top of my hands very quickly, very comfortably, and in a controlled manner. So that is our first one, is that spot position, finding it not too far out in front of our hands. The second most important is I like to tell people to reach for the ceiling when you're upside down. If we are overhead with a barbell, if you let those shoulders relax, collapse, and I'm not really pushing out, that weight's gonna feel much more heavy. My elbows aren't gonna be locked out, my shoulders aren't gonna be locked out, I'm not gonna have a nice stacking of my bone structure. It is gonna be, that tension's gonna be more heavily weighed into my musculature, and I have to hold that up. Same thing applies to that handstand walk. When I'm upside down, if I'm holding myself up strictly by my muscles and nothing else, I don't have any good stacking, I'm not really pressing out, keeping that active shoulder, it's gonna be a much harder time for me to hold that handstand, and chances are I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna collapse towards that ground. Same thing applies with our trunk and our feet. If we're not really reaching for that ceiling, we're not gonna stay tight either in our abdomen, we're gonna open up, gonna fall feet forward. I'm not gonna show you that one because I really don't like doing that. Another thing is we're not keeping those glutes contracted, and when we don't keep the glutes contracted, we bend those legs over, we get in this bad position that's rough on our low back, and also, like I said earlier, it's not quite as consistent. So reach for that ceiling. The third one I'm going to give to you today is going to be our hands. Our hands are really important, especially anytime that we're doing handstand push-ups, handstand walks, or static handstands. For this, I'm going to use my trusty whiteboard. And with my trusty whiteboard, we are going to talk about our 3 main hand positions. I have drawn them in very beautiful form, if I don't say so myself. But these are going to be relatively our 3 main hand positions when we're on our hands, either in a static handstand, handstand push-ups, or handstand walking. This is going to be our static handstand. Come over here, say static. This is when we're just trying to hold that handstand position nice and steady. why we do this. And so I'm gonna have my hands like so on the floor, fingers pointed out in front of me, thumbs straight at each other for the most part. This lets us leverage our body weight front to back. And so I can control whether I go too far over the top, too far back, through my fingertips, and giving pressure front and back. This gives me little to no stability side to side, which is fine because in that static handstand, we're just holding that handstand forward to backwards. Chances are we're not gonna go laterally. When we're doing a handstand push-up, which is this middle one, I like to think of it as the Nike sign. So this is kind of reversed, but you have that, that nice Nike, beautiful, check mark there with our fingertips. We're gonna make that nice little Nike sign. This allows us to really keep those elbows pointed towards that opposite wall, keep a nice tripod position that we talked about in that handstand video a long time ago. But it keeps me in a good shoulder position and allows me to press overhead with relative ease in that mobility if we at all struggle with it. So that's gonna be our handstand push-up. But since we're talking handstand walks, this is where our hands should be if we're gonna make that money. So we're turning those hands out quite a bit. My fingers are gonna be relatively pointed away from my body, away from the direction I'm trying to go. Because we have to shift our hips left and right as we step and shimmy our way across the floor, this allows us to control our lateral displacement left to right while not having any issues going front to back. This is gonna help propel us forward, but also keep us from falling left or right. So that third point today is gonna be that hand position, holding those hands nice and strong, and getting that handstand walk going. I'm gonna show you a quick clip of that and a quick zoom up on my hands here right now. All right, those are my 3 favorite cues for the handstand walk. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Chances are you've seen me coaching some handstand walks in the gym before. Feel free to come up and ask me why I did something. If you want me to take a look at yours. But in order to get that super personal one-on-one, please ask me, please set up that 30-minute personal training session where I can give you that very specific one-on-one help for what you need specifically. But again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. But with that, have a fantastic weekend and give those handstand walks a shot. See you later.